Well, we did this benefit last night, and she's built 8 schools in Rwanda, 2 music schools in addition to that, has started a foundation for exchange students between LA and Rwanda. There's a camp there for a refugee camp. It's one of the largest, if not the largest in the world, in Rwanda. And there's schools there. There's a music school there now. And these kids have hope that they didn't have before. I mean, she's gotten deals with Gibson and Fender and this drum company and that company and Music Cares and all these people funneling money, effort, you know, got celebrities sponsoring this thing and that thing and the other thing to funnel money into Mary's hands so that Mary can get into Rwanda and help these kids get an education and get turned on to music. And it's an amazing thing to hear the sound of those drum beats, that rhythm coming up out of absolute despair, right in the heart of darkness. There's Mary and her, you know, need to make a difference that hit her when she got sober. So, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that happens around here. You know what I mean? Where people really get into it. Somebody behind me. All right, it's Knuckle. For those listening, that's an actual guy. So, anyway, if you look at the arc of the steps, you know, from the problem to the solution to the decision to the action plan to the continuity to just stay in the game, you know, with 10, 11, and 12, me, God, and you, and those 6 words: trust God, clean house, help others. It all locks in. You see that we got the bases covered around here. If you're new, you're okay. If you're not new and you're sponsoring guys, we have an actual game plan that we can pass on that comes to us directly from the original 100. I'm not talking about anything that doesn't lead directly back to the source of this stuff, that this is the game. I was talking to another guy last night who asked me, have you ever done, what's the name of that book? The Back to Basics, or what? Is that it? Back to I got it on the first try. That's unusual. Back to Basics. And what they used to do in the old days was you just couldn't walk in and go into a meeting. You couldn't just wander on into a meeting just because you were drunk. Right? They had a meeting before the meeting. The beginner's workshop. And you went to that for 4 weeks, one night a week for 4 weeks. You went in, and for that hour, they would take you through the steps. As a newcomer, you want to come to AA? All right, sit down. We got 4 hours of work to do. So in 4 hours, they'd go through all 12 steps, 1 hour a week. And at the end of that time, as you completed the steps and you still wanted in, being armed with a significant amount of information about, you know, what this crew's up to, a member of the meeting would then sponsor you into the group. That's where the word came from. And you would get sponsored into the group. And that's how, and you start going to the main AA meeting. And that's how they used to do it. And that book, Back to Basics, Wally P., right? Yeah. Usually if there's a book like that floating around out there, you can guess. Was it Wally P? And about 90% of the time, you're right. It's Wally P., right? The guy was amazing. And giving us information about what it was like. The good old timers. All the AA-approved literature. I mean, I would suggest reading it. It's interesting stuff about our history, our lineage. Right? I was just out there and looking at the tapes, right? There's worlds within worlds sitting in that table out there. You know, a lot of guys that I've known, and there's a lot of people out there that were at the podium when I walked in. Those were the guys that were breaking it down. And you couldn't have said to me, that's why it's the program and the fellowship. You couldn't have said to me when I walked in, the shape I was in, here's a book, read that and get back to us. Tell us, you know, what you think. You know, you want to join up with an outfit that's based on that. I'd have never made it. I couldn't retain the information from the first paragraph while I was reading the second paragraph. You know, just, better start over. Read the first one, second one, lost it again. All right. I'd have never got off the first page. I'd have never made it. What got me was the embodiment of what's in that book. The men and women of Alcoholics Anonymous. That I was able to walk into a room, sit down, and guys got up at the podium and started to break it down. And they started to break down like, okay, so here's what you do to stay sober. So I figure if a meeting is a place, we have meetings so that there's a place where a newcomer can come and hear a message of hope and recovery. Then what we do in a meeting should be focused on and of interest to the guy sitting in the back who, when you said, do we have any new people with us today in their first 30 days? If so, would you please raise your hand and identify yourself? Well, you know what the answer to that request is by most new people. I ain't raising my hand and standing up. This is no time to be attracting attention. I'm just going to just sit back here and mind my own business. Move it along up there, Buster. I'm not in. Right? You don't want anything to do with it. They're here to listen. What do you got? Stop asking me who I am and what I'm doing here, and you know what I mean? Screw you. What do you got? You're the A&A. You're the ones who are supposed to have all the answers. What do you got? So I figure when we get up at the podium, this isn't a place to dump my problems. Get up here and whine about stuff. Oh, I'm having a terrible day because, you know, I asked a question, somebody said no, and it's just been a dark cloud ever since. And bullshit, you know? Problem, solution, problem, solution, problem, solution. If I get up at this thing is for the purposes of identification. If I got a problem, I'll come up here and say, look, you know, life on life's terms. I just got hit in the face with this. And here's the tools of Alcoholics Anonymous I'm going to use to try to minimize the wreckage of this direct hit I have just experienced. Right? So what I'm saying is that the value of this deal, new guy, if you're sitting back there and wondering what the hell's going on, is that if I use the tools of Alcoholics Anonymous, which are outlined in that big book and can be discussed at length by everybody in this room, anybody, just tap a guy on the shoulder and ask him about it. He'll be able to tell you, because we've all read the book. We've all worked the 12 steps. We all, yeah, right. If you believe that, right, I got a bridge I want to sell you, right? There's still a lot of people walking around think that they go to a lot of meetings, they're working a program. You know? And maybe they are of sorts. I'm not saying their lives haven't improved, but I'm saying there's a bigger buzz, and I got to give the best hand to play I possibly can to the new guy. Here's my problem, and here's the solution to this problem. And if you want a little breakdown on that, just find a guy who's read the big book, and he'll give you a further description of what those tools are that we use. Because the goal is that when I get it, when something life on life's terms happens, and I get rocked with bad news or bad information, my goal is to be able to move through that with some dignity and to minimize the wreckage that I create as a result of having received that information. Right? I can't be that guy anymore. Then they tell me, oh, you know what? They're repossessing your car. Okay, then I'm going to drive it off a cliff. Nope, do not compound the issue. Right? Learn to just dial it back. right? Don't make problems worse. Minimize the problems. And when the good times come, I'm ready for them. The good times aren't wasted on me, right? And I'm able to appreciate good news. Not like the old days. I mean, something good happens, you go, oh, well, this is going to end any minute. This, good news never lasts. Bad news is forever, right? Get out of that rut, right? And be able to live my life a day at a time. Newcomers, my feeling is when I came here, all I wanted to know is that you guys had a way that I could attach to where I wasn't going to die drunk soon. That's all I was asking for. Just show me how to not go back into the madness. All the, lovely, peace and freedom and hope and happiness and all that stuff. It's like, great. Could you just show me how not to die in the next 30 days? Right? Could you just show me how to not be at odds with everything and everybody? Can you just show me how to get through a day without drinking? Can you show me that? That's what just keep it simple, man. Keep it basic. Get me from this meeting to the next meeting without getting drunk or creating serious wreckage as a direct result of my inability to stay sober and behave like a member of society, right? That's what I need. So I feel like the podium should be about, sure, I can talk about my problems, but I need to be able to talk about the solution I'm going to apply to that problem. So what the newcomer hears is, oh, so this is about the living of life. Sober. These are the things that we do to stay sober and live life. That a relapse can start 2 months before you take a drink. Right? Most of the guys, I won't say all, because there is no all, right? Except I'm going to eat all this prime rib. There are certain exceptions to the rule, right? I don't care how full I get, I am going to eat all that prime rib. Now I'm stuck on that meal. I can't remember what the hell I was talking about. Keep going. It'll click in. Pop quiz. Thank you. Still ain't clicking. I don't know what I am beat up. I'm beat up and tired. The whole point is I think that relapse it's in the mind. It's not in the body. It's not, there are guys that are like, I'm fine. Drink, and, boom. But I think almost all the guys that I talk to that relapse, I say, so what happened? I'm not being nosy. I'm an alcoholic. This is information I might need. What happened? And almost to a man, they say, well, first thing is I stopped going to meetings. Now, what does that tell me? That tells me that it's not just the book, the program, it's the fellowship as well. It's the there's a sword and there's a shield. You need them both. One's great, but it ain't nothing compared to both. Right? You got both, you're way ahead of the guy who's got just one. Right? The fellowship is, I've got to be here with you. I need the people that understand the true nature of my condition. When I walk in here and you say, how you doing? And I say, I'm not doing well. People spring into action. Yeah, you're not doing well. Come on, let's get a cup of coffee and talk about it. I am not alone with that dilemma, because the last thing I want, the problem with the first thing I did was stop going to meetings, is what I did was I cut myself out of the herd. The only person I was listening to was me now. I was back to my own best thinking, just like that. Back to my own best thinking. We've heard my story. We know the value of my best thinking. Left to my own devices, it's going to go bad. Because it's at any moment, that little whisper is going to become that I can't hear right now. He's whispering, but I can't hear him. But you leave me alone with my own thoughts long enough, suddenly I pick up the signal. You know, and there's that beast whispering in my ear. It happened to me 2.5 years sober. 2.5 years sober. I'm the cleanup guy at Ohio Street. This is right after I'd been a greeter for a day, like I told you about, right? And that didn't go well. And I was the cleanup guy. So I'm in there and I'm cleaning up, mopping up in the back. And all of a sudden, like you'd been spinning the dial on a radio and all of a sudden you just caught a station. Just like, how you doing, Earl? How you doing, Earl? You seem kind of stressed out, buddy. Are you all right? All right, I'm a little worried about you. Just stress is bad. Stress, if I'm not mistaken, Earl, stress is a medical issue. You know, we need to address this, buddy. This is bad. And I'm here for you. Oh, I've always been here for you, buddy. I love you. You know I love you. I said, I'm just gonna make a suggestion now. Just remain calm. But you know, I know how you're about to say anything. But Earl, have you been to the Lowe's Hotel? It's right on the beach. Right on the beach. You sit in the lounge there, and you can hear the waves. Hear the waves, Earl. The waves. It's like the rhythm of the earth. It's just beautiful. Just the waves. It's very soothing, very comforting. You know, it'll help the stress, Earl. And do you know, Earl, in the lobby, they have the lounge in there. They have a jazz lounge. A jazz lounge, Earl. Now, this music is smooth. This is smooth as silk, buddy. This is good. Now, you feeling me now? We got waves. We got jazz. We got it going on here. Now, get this, Earl. I got just a question. I'm mopping. Yeah. Have you seen the apple martini? Have you seen that, Earl? Looks very refreshing. Right? And if I'm not mistaken, apple is a fruit. Very good for you. So all I'm saying, Earl, is I know you're big on this ANA thing, you know. But right now, let's just keep this between you and me. Why don't we slide on down to the beach, Earl, to the waves. Walk on into that jazz lounge. Sit down, and a lovely woman will walk up and say, may I get you anything? And we can just say, may I have one? I repeat, this is an important part of this. Ma'am, one apple martini. Because it looks refreshing. And I believe will add to this medical excursion that I'm on to reduce a dangerous level of stress that currently plagues me. And she will say, sure. She will go and she will bring you back to one apple martini. We'll have an apple martini. We'll all be smooth. And you come right on back into the ANA. No need to tell anybody about this, Earl. Let's just keep this our little secret. Right? And we'll be fine. Now, I'm 2.5 years sober. I got years and years and years of information without a break that say, that's insane. The trick is that that's a very, very reasonable conversation for a normal man. But I must never forget that that's not me. I'm not a normal man. Because they say, well, you know, why you guys always say, you know, one drink's too many and 1,000's not. Well, you got some nice little ditties you got going in there. But, I mean, come on. Well, you know, how does one drink hurt anybody? I'll tell you how. One drink does two things every single time for me. One, right, is the minute I take a sip of that drink, I'm not with you. Because no matter how you slice it, A&A's real big on the no drinking thing. There are no exceptions to the rule. I had a buddy of mine tell me, you know, your A&A deal would be a lot bigger if you guys weren't so stern about that not drinking thing. Yeah, we would not exist if we weren't. So that's going to happen. That happens. I have cut the cord. It's just not a game in my head anymore. I have pronounced my exit from A&A right there with that first sip. The second thing that one drink does is it does what it's supposed to do. It alters my perception. That's the whole idea, right? Is to alter consciousness. And it does it just ever so slightly. It just shifts my thinking just enough for me to think, that went pretty well. What's the next thing out of my mouth? One more. I think one more would be in order. I've just proven that one drink, harmless. Harmless. I feel my blood pressure dropping already. And I believe that the martini was key. It was the key to the trilogy of waves, jazz, and apple martini. The trifecta. It just worked. Now, when I had that second one, it's shifted just enough more where I just thinking, another drink would be nice. Another drink would be nice. Another drink. I've lost count. And 6 hours after I was a member in good standing of Alcoholics Anonymous, I'm on my way downtown Los Angeles, and I'm looking for the wrong things, like an untraceable weapon and the right guy to jack. I'm gonna get busy right away. Within 24 hours, I'm in trouble. I'm in big trouble. I'm doing things that are going to get me sent away. And I don't want to live like that anymore. So this is all happening in my head in the matter of a few seconds while I'm just mopping up. I've got this whole fantasy thing rolling in my head. And I'm mopping up going, that's, and then you look over and there's Donald standing over there smiling. Oh. Smile and wave. Hey. Nothing wrong going on over here. I'm doing just fine. And then all of a sudden you go, no, I'm not. Just drop the mop and run over to Donald and go, Jesus Christ, you shouldn't believe what's going on in here. You know about this apple martini thing? You know about he's like, what the hell are you talking about? I said, essentially my brain is saying drinking's a good idea. And he just looked at me and he went, is it? Fellowship. It's a fellowship. Is it? Well, no. Now that you put it like that. No. It's not a good idea. He said, all right, then what do you say we don't do that and we get to bed sober tonight and we live to fight another day? You good? All right. Call me when you get home. So go home. I got to finish mopping up. I'll finish mopping up. Go home. Call me when you get there. All right. Go home. And now the other part of the brain's kicked in because I've engaged with a member of the fellowship, right? I called Christopher when I got home and went, Jesus, man, I was thinking about an apple martini while I was mopping up. And he said, interesting. I was thinking about killing myself. I said, I don't think either one of those is a good idea. He says, all right, you don't drink and I won't kill myself. I said, all right, I got to call Donald. He goes, yeah, that's probably a good idea too. So hook up with a buddy, call a sponsor. By the end of the conversation with two guys, I'm okay. But what if I hadn't had you talk to? What if I hadn't stopped going to meetings? And that same thought hit. And it would have, sooner or later. I wouldn't have made it out the other side of that one. At some point, I would have been able to tell either the guard or the nurse, depending upon which institution I ended up in, that apple martini wasn't all it was cracked up to be. That's all I would have had. And the price for that apple martini would have been severe. Would have cost me my life. And that's what I got to remember. And that's what I need to talk to when I talk to newcomers. Because I get in here and I start getting comfortable because I'm hanging out with guys who've caught the buzz. I'm hanging out with guys that are sober. I'm looking at all these faces, and every guy in here is like, I say, being sober is a hell of a lot better than being drunk. And every guy in here goes, yep, sure is, man. And the good news is that the longer I stay sober, the better it seems to get. Right? Best deal ever. But that ain't most people. When that newcomer comes in and sits in the back of the room, he's not used to sitting around talking to guys like us. He don't know who we are. He doesn't know what we've been through. He looks at us and thinks, these guys didn't drink like me. You know? These guys got skills I'm unfamiliar with. Like, there's several guys in here right now that are very comfortably asleep, sitting up. I don't mean to ruin your nap, but I just had to point out that there's a few of you that left about 10 minutes ago. He just... And their guys are good, man. These guys are good. They're just sitting there and there's a smile on every one of their faces. This man just... Out. I love it when a guy starts snoring in a meeting. Some people get annoyed by that. I get a kick out of it. I go, now that is a man comfortable with a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous right there. That guy just settle right in. There was this dude I knew in Cleveland, Ohio. He was like a big dog there. One of the bleeding deacons of Cleveland, right? And we were sitting in a meeting, and our speaker tonight and they mentioned this lady's name, and he looked over at me, and he's sitting there like this, and he goes, "Oh, I've heard her before. She's fantastic." And just went right to sleep, man. Slept like a baby through the whole thing. Just wanted to let me know she's terrific. You should enjoy this. I have heard it, so man my age, I'm gonna take my naps where I can get them. And he just went right out. And I didn't nudge him like, wake up, man, this is great. Oh no, he told me he's already heard her. Right? So when she said thank you and they started applauding, he just came right up out of the nap and moved right on. I thought, that's a guy that knows how to go to A&A, man, right there. Right? I've heard it, but I ain't getting out of this seat. I'm staying right here. Right? So, to kind of wrap this up, we got the fellowship, which is vital to my recovery. I need the meetings. I need the physical embodiment of Alcoholics Anonymous standing right there so that I can engage one-on-one in a conversation about how I'm going to get to bed sober tonight. How am I going to do that? So I got people that can break down for me what the game plan is, because it may be that I can't read, or maybe I'm just too squirrely to be able to retain anything that I'm reading. I'm new, I'm sick, I'm impaired. I need help. It's going to take me a while to absorb the intent of the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, what the plan is. You know what I mean? I don't know how to go about this. I got no information, and I'm going to have to get it from you. So the fellowship is vital, not just to the new man, but to the guys that have been around a long time as well. I need a place to go where I can be of service. I need a place to go where I can be that example. I need a place to go where I can talk to other guys about how my day's going. Because no matter how long I'm sober, I'm still an alcoholic, right? I still have a tendency to overreact to just about anything. I need you all to settle me down. I need that feeling that comes over me at this point in my life when I walk into an AA meeting and just sit down. That feeling of I'm with my people. I'm where I belong. Right? So, and I need the repetition. I need that constant repetition, that reminder. And people say to me, how many times do you need to hear a portion of chapter 5, how it works? How many times do you need to hear that? And I say, well, I'll let you know when I hit the number. Because I ain't hit it yet. I need to keep hearing that. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you why. You know what I mean? Field I work in, they tell people all the time, 1 in 35 of you has got a chance of 5+ years, get to come to know long-term sobriety, or 1 in 33, or 70% of this and 82% of that. Yep. They got a lot of stats out there about us. Some of them urban legend, some of them legit. We have a tendency to perpetrate, misinformation. right? But all that said and done, there's one line that I cling to, that I tell the new man. He says, "What are my odds here, man?" I said, "Well, if you want to know how this works, we got a chapter titled How This Works." And the first line, "Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path." Is that all? Does that answer your question? Yep. All right, so what we need to figure out now, my new friend, is what does thoroughly mean? What does that mean under these circumstances? And you know what? We know what thoroughly means. We'll show you exactly what thoroughly means. We will walk you through that. All you got to do is stay with us. One day at a time. Today's Monday, so you're with us on Monday. When Tuesday comes, you got to come see us on Tuesday. We'll get you a meeting directory and a big book, and you're locked and loaded, man. You're ready to roll. Here's some phone numbers in the back of your meeting directory. Here's, you're plugged in. You got all the information you need to connect now. There's no more excuses. No more I couldn't find it. Give me your phone number. I'll give you mine. We'll get you to the meeting. You get to the meeting, right? It's not, come over to my house and we'll start reading the big book. That's great, but I'm going to get you to a meeting first. We're going to get you a meeting. I want you to see that it works. I want you to see that it's possible. I want you to see what it looks like. That there are people that suffer from alcoholism that are now happy, joyous, and free. It really works. So for me, all this, step workshops or conferences, or all the way down to that meeting with 4 guys sitting in a room with a coffee pot and a big book, Tuesdays from 7:30 to 8:30 or 7:30 to 9 or whatever it is, right? It's all designed for us to be in that constant state of preparedness for that new guy to walk in who says, "I can't stop drinking. Do you have any good ideas?" Yeah, we do. Come on in. Have a seat. Let's you and I sit in the back because you don't smell real good. We'll just sit in the back and we'll work this through. I like those guys that come in just torn up because they got a willingness no other kind of human being has, right? That have taken the beating. So come on in and sit down. That's what it's all about. They would say, "He's the most important person in the room." And the other guys go, "Bullshit, everybody's important." And like, yeah, everybody's important. But we got one guy here tonight that doesn't know anything about staying sober. He has no idea how he's not going to be drunk tomorrow because he's tried everything and failed. He's surrendered to alcoholism. And we're the last stop for him. We got to be ready. And it can't be about platitudes. It has to be about something real, something genuine, something meaningful. We need to be able to look them in the eyes and they say, "Do you have a solution to the problem that is killing me?" Yes. And it has absolutely nothing to do with my best thinking. It has to do with the information in that book, and it's in the eyes of the people in these rooms. So working the 12 steps is great, but I can't work the 12 steps and experience the value of those 12 steps on my own. It has to be about the next man. Okay, I got this. It makes sense. I'm a true believer. Now I got to go get that guy and give it away to him. I got to give it to that guy. It doesn't really have the meaning it's intended to have unless I give it to the next guy. So I'm going to call back in about a week, and I expect Oregon to be declared a completely sober state. You guys have gone out there and rounded them all up, and the bars are closing for lack of business. Because those people, the bars can't survive on normies. We're their bread and butter, buddy. It's us. And also, I just want to say thank you to you guys. Thank you for being so kind. Thank you for all the help. Thank you, Jesse, for picking me up and taking me back to the airport and taking that time. And that's a long haul, man, and I really appreciate you doing that. And all you guys for being so kind. It's been a great experience, and I'm really glad I came up here. God bless you, man. I wish you all peace. All right?